Hello and welcome to yet another edition of the Democratic Newsroom. I'm Preeti Choudhry, and the topic of discussion in this edition of Democratic Newsroom has to be freebies. Well, it's poll season. Bihar is going into election, and whether you call it freebies, you call it political sobs, you call it revdi, it's been raining freebies in Bihar. So what we're going to discuss, freebies, actual benefits or pure bribes? Let me quickly cut across to our panel this evening. I have Rajdeep Sardesai, consulting editor. I have a senior managing editor, Gaurav Sawant. I have Akshita, who also will put a lens on the South, because Akshita, it all started in the year 1967, where the DMK offered 1 rupee, 1 kilo rice. And imagine what it's come down to, where Maushmi was in Bihar just a week ago. And Maushmi, it's now competitive populism in Bihar. But Rajdeep, would you want to take it first?
Look,
bribe or benefit?
Look, I think you've got to make 2 or 3 important distinctions. One, I think if it is a public good, you cannot treat it as a bribe. If it is a direct cash transfer which is completely unaudited, done just before the election, a question will be raised. You give 1,500 rupees, for example, in Maharashtra under Ladki Bahin. Is that a bribe or is that welfarism? If you provide a child education, is that a bribe or is it, as I see it, a public good, which is welfarism? Let's make a distinction between what is public good and welfarism and what is revdi or a freebie. I think it's an important distinction to make. We can't lump it all and say whatever the government does becomes a bribe. And I do believe that one person's revdi could be another person's welfarism. I'll give you an example in Bihar. 20 years ago, I remember going there. Nitish Kumar was distributing cycles. Many people were saying, yaar, cycles for young girls. People said, yaar, ye kya hai? Ye to unko ek tarah se free tohfa mil raha hai. It changed the lives of so many girls, many of whom today are voters. Gave them an opportunity to go to school. Take a look at what's even happened with free bus rides in Karnataka. Many women feel it's hugely empowering. Take a look at what Mamata Banerjee has done with Kanyashri. The girls' enrollment in schools has risen substantially. Or indeed, even in the Ladki Bahin scheme, just to give some context to it, I remember in Kolhapur telling one of the women, "Arey, sarkar ne tumhala bribe dili hai, rishwat diya hai aapko." Immediately that lady turned out with, "Kai sir, हमको 1500 रुपए मिल गया, आप रिश्वत कहते हैं, ये बड़े बड़े नेता 1500 करोड़ बनाते हैं, उनका क्या?" So it's a distinction. You see, it's very easy for us to call what is given to people as a bribe and not distinguish it from what could be welfarism. That's one point. And the last point that I would make is, I think there should be a proper audit of this. My problem is when you give just before an election, whether it's a promise that I'll provide every household a job, which is unrealistic. You're not going to be able to provide in Bihar 2.7 crore jobs as Tejasvi is promising. Nor are you going to, this 10,000 rupees you're giving for self-employment of women under Jivika Didi. Where is the audit? Will there be an audit after the election? Where did that 10,000 rupees go? If there is a proper audit, by all means, I think that should be made public, and then we can decide whether that was a bribe or change the lives of a family. But I am therefore reluctant to, bracket something as a bribe or something as welfarism. I'll even tell you color TV in Akshita state. I thought color TV is a straight bribe. कि आप लोगों को color TV दे रहे हैं. Ladies who I met, sir, हमारी, in Tamil, they said it made a huge difference to their lives.
Mixies, grinders,
so I guess when you are in a low-income country like India, it's not so easy to make these distinctions so easy.
But where do you draw the line? Because somewhere down the line, when it comes to freebies or welfarism, you need to draw a very hard line. Gaurav, what's your opinion?
It's a great idea. If you help people, it helps them in whichever way possible, that it brings them up to some level. I know of people who've benefited, even if it's just 3,000 rupees that's given to them, that 3,000 helps them. You know that people have objected to food being given to people, and India with great pride says 800 million people are being fed. At least they're not spending that money on food. They can spend whatever money they have for other things and improve their life. So you may call it freebies, you may call it revdi. If it helps those in need, it's a great idea. unfortunately, we only complain about, or many complain about this money that's given to the poor and the needy, when corporates, whether it's Kingfisher Airlines and, crores and crores are written off and they siphon off money and live overseas. That's the real scam that needs to be checked. Whether it's a Vijay Mallya or a Mehul Choksi who take away some 8,700 crores and that's kind of written off at times. That is what needs to be checked. This is a very good idea to help people.
I'm going to bring in Akshita, but what I really do believe in, how do you draw a really hard line? I think direct cash transfers need to end in this country. I think that's lazy politics and we only encourage it. And why I say that,
going into their
but I'm telling
accounts.
you why I say that, is because what is welfarism and what is freebies? When you do a direct cash transfer, I feel it's a freebie, and in the long run, somewhere down the line, each state will stop spending less. Capital expenditure will be less on essentials like education, like health, like infrastructure, which we've seen time and again in every state. And I'll give you an example. You had somebody, the Chief Minister of Telangana, who said exactly this, that I don't have enough to spend on basics like health, education, because I am covering all the schemes that I had to promise in the beginning. So
perhaps
what I feel,
regulation is required.
Why can't you link it to a public good?
No, but
Exactly.
You say, I will give you a direct cash transfer of so many rupees if your child now goes into class 10. If a girl child is going into class 10, I will give you, and monitor it, audit it.
How do you draw that line, Rajdeep? Instead, what you do is you make education free for every girl child till class 10th. You do that. You make health. For example,
Preeti, I can give you an example in Tamil Nadu of the Pudumai Pen scheme, which is a scheme where they gave a financial incentive to girls in higher education. It's made a huge difference. It's been a game changer, right? And that's
for higher education, right?
Yes.
You tied it to something.
Yes, you've tied it to something.
So it's
which
not
is
a
what
direct
Rajdeep
cash
is also
transfer.
talking
No, it
about.
is
You're
a
saying if
direct
you
cash
tie it to
transfer into their
welfare,
account.
If you tie it to something, what's the problem? You're saying, don't even do that, ensure free education.
Because I'll tell you
instead.
why I say that.
It's been successful.
No, I'll tell you what
It's a
really
formula
works.
that's worked.
But I'll tell you what really, I feel what works. Instead of placing money into the hands of voters, for example, when you made bus travel free in Delhi, which was looked as a reverie by everyone at that point of time, it actually transformed lives. Because then bus travel was free. Why I feel is, for example, lots of states have now come up with a health policy. I think that is great.
Yeah.
And that is great. You do that. Make education free till class 10, because I just feel what happens is successive governments just get so lazy by placing that amount of money in people's hands, and it's an immediate reaction. Now you're looking at Bihar, Moshmi, where 60% of Bihar makes less than 10,000 rupees. And then you're transferring in one tranche 10,000 rupees in their bank accounts. How is anyone supposed to make sense of this?
Preeti, it said, no, give a man a fish and you can save him for a day, and teach him how to fish and you can save him for a life. So it's on the skill development that one can focus. And I think in this all discussion, what is important is the timing of it all. Why do you get all these freebies during the election season? Even the Supreme Court and the Election Commission has spoken about it. So I think it tantamounts to bribery. I've spoken
100%.
to voters.
Vote
that
kharidi.
Vote kharidi.
100%.
That lure. First AAP did
It's
it.
seduction.
DMK did it. Now you do it. You ape it. It's
Actually,
completely,
DMK started it in
Can I just
1967.
say that Bihar is
I-
very late to the party, all of these states, in fact.
Yes,
Because in Tamil Nadu, this has been, the
Throughout,
norm
And
for
why
decades
Bihar
now.
is important, Akshita, is because Bihar was counted as a Bimaru state. You are asking for a special package.
No, I agree, yeah.
Bihar is just gone down as far as its fiscal deficit is concerned. Its budget has increased 15 times. You're not enabling people. Reporters were sitting and we were calculating around the table that if all the benefits that are being doled out by the NDA, if one family gets all those benefits, if you're flood affected, if you have a metric pass student, a girl child, if you have a graduate student, if you have some women entrepreneur, all that money would add to amount almost about 1.5 lakhs per household.
And
So
Rajdeep,
when
And
do you
will
see
they
a
not
girl-
use that
how do you
money-
see a cycle for a girl child?
No,
Is
will
that
they
a
not
freebie?
use that money to
one minute.
grow?
How do you see a cycle as a...
No, cycle for a girl child
it's a
is
welfare scheme.
transformative.
Good. Okay. I'm glad.
Cycle for a
But
girl
this is
child
the challenge,
changed
no?
Madhya Pradesh.
So then
you
I
have to
agree
draw
with
that
you.
hard line.
Yeah.
How do
Then-
you draw that?
Then I
That's
agree
the
with you. I think
challenge.
we've got to make a distinction, as I said, between public goods that transform people's lives and what you're giving just before an election in terms of direct cash.
But
I'll just
that's
give you,
really
no,
hard,
1 minute.
Rajdeep.
An RTI has just shown from this month, over 12,000 men in Maharashtra were granted benefits under the Mukhyamantri Mazi Ladki Bahin Yojana. Now, that the scheme was exclusively for women. Some men have taken it. You are now giving it virtually every month. Now you are stuck in a state like Maharashtra. Do I give people the opportunity perhaps of investment in development projects in their village, or do I give 1,500 rupees? The choice is yours. Governments are taking the shortcut by giving
It's
a direct
lazy.
cash benefit. So I'm making a distinction between a direct cash benefit that's unaudited and public goods that transform people's lives.
Gaurav.
So the fact that this information came out that money was going to some men came out of some audit.
Came out of the RTI.
Yeah, through an audit. It cannot be unaudited. The rule of the land, law of the land is any money that goes out from the government goes into somebody's account. That money is audited how it's going. It's only when netas start giving out cash like this that we've seen images of several netas doing that. That is bribery. This is helping these people some way or the other.
But
You're
Gaurav,
not giving them
I'll
cash,
give you an
you're giving
example.
money into
Okay,
their
Gaurav, let me give
accounts.
you a counter to
This
this.
is an aspirational India.
I get what you're
they
saying.
want to do better. They will use this money
But-
for something
but
better.
Gaurav,
They will
you're
not
saying for
sit at
somebody-
home and do nothing.
But tell me what's the difference, right? Where you have a Pappu Yadav who says कि मैंने 35 एकड़ अपनी जमीन बेची to provide for my constituency. Where you see images of Pappu Yadav where he's sitting in his car and he's doling out cash. And no matter what, we sit in the studio and call him various names or various hues of being a criminal, but his constituency votes him back every time. Now, what is the difference between a Pappu Yadav who gives the cash to his constituency, and it's not they don't need it, they need it.
So cash for votes versus-
but what is a direct cash transfer?
The
Tell me the
direct cash
difference. Tell me the
transfer-
difference.
If I give a direct cash transfer linked to certain objective
it.
criteria, that's
But
all I'm saying.
which is what all parties are now doing, right? They're saying this is not a freebie, not a reverie, not an ilavasam, which is the word in Tamil, because they say that, we're linking it to something.
No, but
And
Akshita,
so they get
1,500
away, they
rupees. No,
mask
1
it.
minute. Akshita, 1,500 rupees under Ladki Bahin. Do you classify that as a bribe? Just
Which
before
is
the
my
election. No,
point.
1 minute. Do you classify that as a bribe or a public good? How do you classify? It's given straight away. Every woman in the household got it. More than 2 crore
If it's
women got
election
it.
time, it's all a bribe.
It was
I
4
think
months
it's
before
all-
the election.
No,
it was
I think
given
if you
over
make a
5 months before the
classification,
election.
You
If
have
you
an
make a
ulterior motive
classification-
to woo the voter. If it comes into your bank account, if somebody is really fighting poverty, or perhaps more so, there are people who get the Kisan Nidhi. There are landlords and farmers and zamindars who are getting that 2,000 ka Kisan Nidhi also.
So how do you see
No,
Kisan
so but
Samman
on
Nidhi?
I
Is it
think the
Kisan,
challenge is-
sorry,
Is
Kisan,
that right?
So
nobody
Kisan
touches
Samman
Kisan.
Nidhi, the farmers who are actually deserving should get it.
But
not
this is the
farmers.
classification that
But
everyone
that
will
you can't
say.
make a classification
Why
just
can't
here.
they do- then
because
don't give it.
every Kisan across the
Some
country
rich-
gets everything.
Some rich landlord
But this
is
is
getting
exactly
Every
what
rich
it-
landlord
And
also gets every
and there is-
benefit.
There is also a problem in that. The farmer who owns the land gets it. But in Bihar, there are many landless people who take patidari pe lete hai, they take the land. They don't own the land. They just steal it and they just harvest the crop. They don't get that Kisan Samman Nidhi, while they are the ones who are farming the crop. Because they don't own land, so that
I think
they are the real beneficiaries.
That's why with some parties, because you tap into the lowest common denominator, and what
Which is
happens
where
is the likes of
regulation-
Prashant Kishore are actually offering Bhusudhar, redistribution of land. Now that is a promise which is which makes you think that can it even be possible? Because it's so easy to give that dole. But Gaurav,
What
let
about
me
free
circle.
power?
Let me.
How do you? Every
No, I
government
think-
now across
But
this
Rajdeep,
country is
I'll
giving
tell you-
free power up to
But
100
Rajdeep,
units. Most
you know,
governments.
but Rajdeep,
Is that
no,
a
I
freebie
think
or
the
not?
problem
Like,
is, to me, that's a freebie. And I'll tell you why. For me, anything that's given as a sweeping, dole out, to me, that's a freebie. I'm very clear. Make the
Point
classification of who needs it. And then it's a welfare scheme, because then you're ensuring upliftment.
So, you are agreeing to what I'm saying, that who needs it? Give it to the needy.
100%.
Don't
But
give it if
the
you
problem
can't afford
is,
But
it, don't
in
give
this
it.
country, Rajdeep, but why I say that, and Gaurav, you can win and Rajdeep can come in. In this country, yes, we have the marginalized, but the taxpayers in this country is just about making ends meet, right? So when you're going to try and have this conversation in the lower middle class household, where they are paying 30%, 20%, 18%, whatever tax that they're paying to the government, will they be comfortable? Because for them, they've budgeted that 1,200 rupees that you're giving, or 1,500 rupees, or 2,000 rupees or 2,100 rupees as direct cash transfers, this is creating a whole lot of resentment. When you speak to the same lower middle class person who's paying that amount of tax, he doesn't want this money to go as a direct cash transfer, but he's okay with it if that money is invested in schools, if there is a health scheme. He's okay with that. You know, that his reaction changes.
Where is that empirical data to suggest what you are saying?
No, but Gaurav,
that he's okay with this and not okay with that.
Are you
No,
okay
I
as somebody who's a taxpayer in this country? Are you? Would you rather that 1,500 rupees just given, or would you rather that the lowest common denominator gets access to health and education, and we better that infrastructure?
So I'm not okay with Vijay Mallya siphoning off 9,000
Of
crore
course,
rupees
nobody
and
is.
running away with from my
No, but
country, which is what happens. And often all of that money, often in the past, has been written off. When banks write off bad debts, all of that I'm not okay with. With these steel millionaires, those steel tycoons, they take loans and then invest that money overseas. I'm not okay with fraud. I'm okay with real welfare schemes. Whoever brings in those real welfare schemes,
Which are not which are not accounted for. You don't know who you're doling it out to.
No, so that is why it's being doled out through bank accounts. And that is why I'm in favor of regulation.
One minute,
Gaurav.
The center has a fixed amount of money.
Yes.
Right? In the 2025-26 budget, 4.6% of GDP is being spent on education. Now you have to, and this is of course center. You go to states, some of them are even lower than that. Look at the quality of schools that you have in large parts of this country. Now the same amount of money which you are now giving through these various schemes just before an election, perhaps could have been used in enhancing your education budget to ensuring better quality of teachers, better quality of schools, better quality of hospitals. A future of a country lies in providing quality health and education.
Go ahead.
It does not lie in simply providing money before an election.
Rajdeep, why have we come here? Why have we reached this point? Because people are choosing that shortcut. It's not just the politicians. This Revdi culture has worked. It works for the political parties. It's a
lazy
formula
politics.
by both sides. The vote banks
So the solution needs to come. I strongly feel the solution needs to come from the courts of this country, who have shied away too long.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with
Akshita. Very openly saying that it's not our job.
No, Akshita, are you telling me that if I could give better schools and better hospitals to people, they would say, no, no, mujhe hospital, school mat do, mujhe paisa de do. I don't agree with that.
Rajdeep,
You have to provide them.
Inevitably,
Every person wants their children to have a good school education.
Why is it that right now political parties are not in an election campaign talking of development, but rather what kind of revenue?
Because that's a short circuit. That's a short way out. It's lazy politics.
Of course it works.
It's lazy politics.
Of course it works.
It's a shortcut to power.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Can choose to be a party with a difference, right, and take the longer route.
No
also, there can be institutions like the Election Commission or the courts that shouldn't put the onus on the people, but on the political parties.
But let me ask you a question, right? Because right now there is also a dichotomy in midst of all of this, right? Because some states are richer states, right? They don't really need that kind of money. And, you could name a Telangana, because Telangana offered many schemes, which Telangana really doesn't need it as a state, because Telangana is a rich state. Juxtapose a Telangana with a state like Bihar, right? Till the time a state like Bihar sees development, like it's astounding to even think 60% of Bihar makes less than 10,000 rupees per household, but it does. Now you're looking at a state like that. Till the time the benefits of power development actually trickle down. We talk about it, I have said it, we talk about health, we talk about education, but till the time it actually trickles down. Doesn't a state like Bihar, one size doesn't quite fit all, deserve that kind of compensation? Then maybe, you make that distinction between a state like Telangana, just to play the devil's advocate.
Preeti, I think it's right that if you look at Nitish Kumar's schemes, he's allocated more than 13,000 crores to OBCs, EBCs and minorities for the development, which is the most impoverished class, right? So again, it comes to who really deserves it. Will you implement sweeping measures is the question. There was a candidate in 2021 Tamil Nadu elections who promised the stars to the voters, helicopters, choppers, 100-day trip to the moon, and even an iceberg to chill out in the heat. And later he said he was just joking as a pun to all the political parties who offered freebies. So it's become like like a joke, that you give 2,000, I'll give 10,000.
So Rajdeep, let me,
I think it's also dangerous because of that, right? Of what it does to a state inevitably. States like Bihar, I don't know if they can actually afford to be doling out these freebies. Look at Andhra Pradesh. In any other circumstance, Andhra Pradesh would not be able to come out with any of the schemes that Naidu announced. They've got backing from the center. So now, financially, maybe they can do it. But otherwise, in Andhra Pradesh,
but Rajdeep, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you another question in all of this. Now, it really works spectacularly for some states and for some political parties. It worked for the NDA in Bihar, in Maharashtra. It worked in Haryana. It didn't work for the BRS. Because the BRS also offered similar kind of schemes. It didn't work for, Jagan Mohan Reddy.
It's about timing.
It didn't work for
You see,
them.
the clever politicians know when to time it.
What do you mean?
Look at what they did in
It all
Maharashtra.
happened
They
before
did it from
elections.
June to September, actually till October last year, leading into Diwali. Suddenly, families had 7,500 just before Diwali. Clever politicians time it right. It doesn't mean that it completely arrests anti-incumbency, but it gives you a talking point. And the point that I made about the lady, only half in jest in Maharashtra and Kolhapur, when she said, you are giving me 1,500 rupees and you are asking me, is it a bribe? And I know that my politician is making 1,500 crores. He said the same politician who used to drive a scooter now is in a large convoy of cars. People are seeing politicians, their assets are multiplying several fold. और आप मुझे 1,500 रुपए दे रहे हो और आप डिबेट करोगे अरे आपको रिश्वत दे दी. People feel that this system is unequal. People realize there is bad governance. The reason on education and health, some people might prefer cash transfers at the moment is because they are not sure whether you will actually fulfill your promise about education and health. Better a bird in the hand than
Rajdeep,
Which is
we
what
have
brings
very
me
little
the point.
time, but
Is it
Gaurav,
only
final
about timing,
points.
Rajdeep? Is it only about the timing, or is it also about delivery and who's able to deliver on some of these promises that have been made? So if there's also delivery backed by promise, perhaps those people get the votes once again.
You're right, Gaurav. For once, I agree with you on this because the truth of the matter, Gaurav, Nitish Kumar, the same girls who I saw getting those cycles between 2005-10 are now voters. They've seen Nitish Kumar over 20 years give them various benefits. So it's not a one-off. Mamata Banerjee, not a one-off. Jayalalitha, not a one-off. All the schemes that they did for women were not schemes just before an election. My problem was, for example, I repeat Maharashtra, is suddenly you realize Ladki Bahin. You discovered the Ladki Bahin only 4 months before an election?
No, you discovered it. You discovered it in Madhya Pradesh.
One more point.
You discovered it in Madhya Pradesh.
Then
May
it's
I-
not a
may I also
commitment
make
to
one
women's
more point?
empowerment. Please commit yourself to women's
Yes.
empowerment.
Okay, make your
and
point.
not-
Gaurav, okay,
Something
final
like
points.
a Manrega should not become what Jairam Ramesh had once described as a ditch digging exercise. Let Manrega funds, if they're being given, let them be utilized very effectively for development of that area. So whatever money you're spending in Manrega can also help in road construction or any other infrastructure
points.
development
Final points.
programs.
I find it very hard, honestly, to kind of draw a line between a freebie and a welfare scheme. So to me, I think that right now what we can seek in a time when everyone's resorting to this is accountability. That when you make a promise, you also tell me how you're going to make that promise and deliver on it. And also ensure at the same time that it doesn't cripple the entire economy of the state, which is, I think, as a voter, they should be also educated on that, on the impact of these freebies, because then maybe you break this cycle.
No, but they've been told multiple times.
Hasn't changed anything.
Yeah, but it hasn't, because they might not believe that anything else will come in. So, ye abhi mil raha hai, ye abhi le lo.
No, I mean educated about the impact of it on the
Fair
state.
point. Make your point.
I really feel that you have to differentiate between the basic necessities and goods that are being promised to voters, because I think it influences the minds of voters and makes them biased towards you. So freebies, basic necessities like education, midday meals, food security programs, you need it there. And empower them, skill them, employ them, provide them employment, and make a state self-enabled. Don't make it a Bimaru state. You're increasing the Bimari of the Bihar state by doling out freebies and making it more dependent.
Rajdeep, I'm going to give you the last word, but I just want to give my 20 seconds before
Please
that.
do. Please do.
No, okay,
You didn't
you
get
have the
much time.
No,
okay,
no,
go
no,
ahead.
not at all. I want to
Preeti,
hear
you get
you
1
first.
minute.
No, there's
No, go ahead.
what I no,
Otherwise
make
she'll
your
hit the
point.
gavel
No,
on
no,
you.
make
Go
your
ahead.
point. Now make your
No,
point.
no,
Okay,
no,
Rajdeep, final
not at all.
comments. I'll just
20
take the last 10 seconds to
I'm
make
done
your
with thing. Please take
Yeah,
your
take a minute, take 2 minutes, Preeti.
Go
Oh
ahead.
Lord, so much pressure.
He gets the last word.
You,
Oh
I'll
yeah,
get the last word, you
he
go
gets
ahead
the
first.
last word. But no, okay. What I do feel is that the solutions in this needs to come through the courts. I think
Yes.
otherwise we're going down a rabbit hole which is only getting successively worse over time. From 1,200, it went to 1,500, the direct cash transfers, now you're standing at 2,000, and competitive populism has only taken over. I think the court needs to step in. The court hasn't stepped in. When you can shut down electoral bonds, you can come up with something stronger where freebies are concerned, which I feel
But
they're
courts
not.
No,
cannot
I'm
do
not
the
sure what
job
the
of
courts
the
can do.
legislature.
Other than guidelines.
Courts
No,
cannot do
what
this.
can,
No.
I disagree with you, and once
Why?
again I'm agreeing with my friend Gaurav. I mean,
Great.
this is strange. What do you expect courts to do? I mean, you want
Rajdeep?
courts to decide whether this is a freebie, is this a bribe, is this welfarism?
how
I
much
don't
do
think
you
that's the
trickle
job
down
of
through
courts.
It's not the
Was
job of the
electoral
courts.
bonds the job of courts? Yes, right?
Election Commission
No,
can
one
do it.
minute.
Election Commission is not going to intervene because the Election Commission has already
It has
said
to
they
be.
cannot.
It has to
I
be.
think
The Election Commission has already
Either
said
the
they can't
parliament-
then they
intervene.
can
either the
intervene in the
parliament or
timeline.
the
Parliament
people.
was never going to do it.
Or the
Don't do
people.
it
What
during
people?
elections.
What
Don't
people
do
are
it
we
during
looking at? The
elections.
solution needs to come through the courts.
You know,
Do it 1 year before
let
elections.
me leave you on a lighter note, since you
Final
gave me the
word.
final word. One of the first stories I was sent by my editor in Times of India to do was in the 1989 elections, probably just when Gaurav was just about going to nursery school. I don't know how old you were in 89. When Moshmi was probably going to nursery
Maybe
school,
I
and
was
Akshita
going to
certainly
nursery.
was,
I
and
wasn't
maybe so
born, I
were you.
wasn't born.
Was quite simply कि the night before the election जाके आप और photographer जाके देखो कि कैसे liquor बांटा जा रहा है in various slum pockets of Mumbai. So we went and we saw कि खुलेआम दारू दे रहे थे लोग. Now people have moved from daru to giving 2,000 rupee notes, in some states 5,000, in some states 10,000. We are only talking at the moment about the official monies through direct cash transfers. Do you know the unofficial monies
Yes.
that are actually doing the rounds?
Okay.
The 50 crores, 70 crores, 80 crores that are being spent by individual candidates for MLA
Okay.
election.
In
पैसा,
Telangana they give
ये
it.
सब पैसे की का खेल है प्रीति, पैसे का खेल है.
Okay, we
So,
leave
but
it at
liquor
that.
bottles are still a constant, Raj.
Sorry?
Liquor bottles
Officially
are
not
still
in Bihar.
Except on
And where
Bihar,
the
where it's
chicken also.
illegal.
But they're still
Well,
there.
वहाँ भी मिलता
But
है.
वहाँ भी मिलता है. I agree.
मुर्गा भी मिलता है.
गुजरात में भी
Okay, we
मिलता
are going to
है.
leave it at that. Thank you for joining us. We're going to leave, the jury's out there. Where you stand on freebies. We're going to let you decide. Thank you for watching.